We are blessed and honored to be with you today. We left Florida to get out of the heat. And all is good. All is good. So the daily word today really did sum up what our talk is all about. So we're going to just be embellishing those magical words for today. So raise your hand if you're seeing us for the very first time. Good heavens. Okay, so we were here a year ago, but we weren't with you on a Sunday, so meeting lots of new people. What about anybody here at this church for the very first time? Okay, so young lady, please give Reverend Sue a second chance and come back next week. We always get a little nervous if the first time somebody comes to the church is with us. Okay, all right. You've just entered a place of love, a dimension beyond time, a dimension beyond space. For you have entered the unity zone. And we in the unity zone follow a different set of phenomena than the common folk. In the common world, they are taught if you have something and you share it and you give it away, you end up with less. But in the unity zone, we know that if you have something and you share it and you give it away, you end up with more. Spoken like true unitics. That's what we call you behind your back. Anyway, kind of like an ancient Aboriginal tool, the boomerang. The boomerang ideally is supposed to go out and come back to you. What do you call it if it doesn't come back? A stick, yes. However, spiritual law is never a stick, right? What we put out in consciousness always comes back to us. Not always the way we think, not always directly, but in consciousness. Now, there's good news and not so good news about that. We'll start with the good news. Life is short, eat dessert first, right? You've seen that slogan? Unity philosophy. So, the good news is the boomerang principle works with love, money, kindness, and generosity. And you've probably all experienced that. Now, you might say, but there's been a few times that I was really kind and generous to someone, and they never gave any of it back to me. That may be true. Trust me, you got it back somewhere. Actually, while you were being kind and generous, you felt good in that moment. So even if it never came back, which it will anyway, you're still getting to have instant karma, knowing immediately. And guess what? When you think negatively about other people, the boomerang principle also works with anger, judgment, prejudice, and stinginess. Have you ever felt real stingy? Didn't feel too good, did it? Instant karma right there. Abraham Hicks calls that our emotional guidance system. It's like our GPS. When you start to feel bad, you can hear your GPS go, redirecting route. We used to have a GPS, and you could put in different accents. So we would put in British. It was awesome. She's like, make your first authorized U-turn. That was so cool. Our new one doesn't do that. It's our new one is like Alabama, I guess. But that's cool too. It's cool. You better turn up here, pal. Anyway, so anyway, the boomerang principle always works. And I got really stressed out when I when I was getting into The Secret and watching all this stuff and listening to Unity principles and reading and studying, going to workshops. I went, man, I got to make sure that every single thought and word and action is pure. Anybody ever try that? How's that working for you? See, we didn't come here to be absolutely perfect. We came here to be our perfect selves and to learn and to grow. So one day I was feeling kind of embarrassed because I had missed the mark again. Anybody ever miss the mark? I think of life like a bowling alley. Okay, a little bit. So when you go to a bowling alley, we got any bowlers out there? When you go to a bowling alley, we love to bowl. You have two chances. You either get all the pins down or you have a second chance to pick up the spares. Well, God is awesome. God gives us unlimited chances to pick up spares. Wouldn't that be great in a bowling alley? But you have unlimited chances to pick up spares. Now, the longer it takes you to pick up the spares, the more challenging maybe your life will be. Maybe you'll have to come back in another life and go to that bowling alley again and get those spares down. But you never get judged. I believe that when we go to the next plane, whatever that is, they're going to give us an A+ with extra credit. Because they're going to say, guess what? You did the absolute best you could at every single time, given your current state of consciousness. So can you all please give yourselves an A+ with extra credit right now? Can we do that? Doesn't that feel good? Let me tell you another thing I heard. One of my favorite teachers, his name is Matt Kahn. He says, our egos tend to focus on all the things we're not doing perfectly. He says, I recommend right now, we'll do it together. I want you to think about all the things you've survived. Death of friends, family, divorce, loss of job, accidents, illnesses, whatever. We are miracles. We have survived so many things. So whenever you start to beat up on yourself, just think about all the things you have survived, and you will feel better. When a voice in your head tells you something that makes you feel good, listen to them. When a voice in your head tells you something is wrong, turn off the news. Because it's just like news in your head, trying to keep you feeling bad, so you'll keep going back to try to get the good stuff. So we encourage you all to remember that the voice inside your head that says there is something wrong with you and the world is not telling you the truth. Byron Katie, any Byron Katie fans? Byron Katie says, if you think that things should be different than they are at any given moment, if you think that you should have done something different and the world should be different, you will only be miserable 100% of the time that you do that. That doesn't mean you can't change things. That doesn't mean you can't go out and be an activist. It means if you think that you or someone else should be different than they are and the world should be different than the way it is, it will make you miserable. I think we can be inspired to do even more action, saying the world is wonderful just the way it is, and so is my desire to make it better. So is my desire to make it better. So, Spirit gave me a little tool that I'm going to share with you. The tool is called a gratitude. It rhymes with ratatouille. I gave it the name, but Spirit gave me the tool. And Spirit says, don't worry if you step back in consciousness by complaining or thinking a negative thought. Just step forward in consciousness twice to compensate for that. So let's try an example. Oh, God, it's so hot. You see what's happened? I've complained. I've complained about weather. By the way, anybody try to change weather? So to complain about what is not very helpful. So I've complained, oh, it's so hot. And then I could go, and I'm so grateful that my air conditioning is working so well. And I'm so grateful for the little rain we had this morning that cooled off the plants and gave them life-nourishing water. Do you see what you've done? You've taken one step backwards and two steps forwards. That's a gratitude.
And the more often you do it, the more natural it becomes. So you have the negative thought or the negative words, and you go, and I'm grateful for this, and I'm grateful for that. And then it just becomes natural.
If you have a partner with you, they can remind you.
And if you have a partner, sometimes it's nice to have them help you. You know, sometimes I get a little stuck and I can't go right to gratitude, so it's nice to say, start me with the gratitude.
Yeah, so sometimes it's easier for somebody else who's not involved. And so we recommend you do that. Never beat yourself up. You can actually raise your voice. Here's another one. Somebody cuts you off in traffic. Oh, I can't believe that jerk drives like that. And then you go, and I'm so glad that he didn't hit me. And I'm so glad I'm not in a car with her. Either way, but you see what you're doing? You're laughing and you're smiling, but I promise you, if you're upset about something and you do a gratitude, you will feel better. It's amazing. So we're going to invite you to sing along with us a very simple song, 4 words that to me sum up the law of attraction. Love is a boomerang.
Love is a boomerang.
Everybody sing with me.
Love is a boomerang.
Woo! Give it away and it comes right back.
Love is a boomerang.
Hear the words that set you free.
Love is a boomerang.
You give it away and it comes right back.
Love is a boomerang.
Everybody sing with me.
Love is a boomerang.
give it away and it comes right back. Now
Love is a boomerang.
hear the words that set you free.
Love is a boomerang.
You give it away and it comes right back. Give it, listen everybody, to what's burning in my soul. Here's something you can use, gonna make you healthy, safe, and whole. You can read it in the Bible, it's in the golden rule. You don't need to go to the land down under to find this magic tool, because
Love is a boomerang.
so is money, so is kindness.
Love is a boomerang.
Ha! You give it away, it's gonna come right back.
Love is a boomerang.
So is anger, so is judgment.
Love is a boomerang.
You give it away and it comes right back. When you wake up in the morning, try a different attitude. Instead of drinking coffee, fill yourself with gratitude. Try loving everything you see, it'll change the way you live. There ain't no way to outgive God, I guarantee you this, because
Love is a boomerang.
so is money, so is kindness.
Love is a boomerang.
Ha! You give it away, it's gonna come right back.
Love is a boomerang.
So is anger, so is judgment.
Love is a boomerang.
You give it away and it comes right back.
Love is a boomerang.
I feel an old-fashioned revival coming down.
Love is a boomerang.
Right here in Springfield, Missouri, baby, yeah.
Love is a boomerang.
Can I get an amen?
Amen.
Oh, yeah?
Love is a boomerang.
Help me, Jesus. Woo!
Love is a boomerang.
So is money, so is kindness.
Love is a boomerang.
Ha! Give it away, it's gonna come right back.
Love is a boomerang.
So is anger, so is judgment.
Love is a boomerang.
Give it away, it's gonna come right back. Give it away, it's gonna come right back. Can't give it away, because it comes right back. Thank you. Glory. I feel the power in the house today. I decided years ago that I wanted to become a New Thought evangelist. Brothers and sisters of the congregation, we are here today to raise consciousness. For we know there's only two emotions we really need to be concerned about. The all-encompassing emotion of love and its perceived opposite, fear. Now, when you're in love, it's a heavenly experience. But when you're in fear, it's like a being in hell. Now, unity does not believe in a place called hell. Can I get an amen? Because some of y'all would have been gone for sure. But there is no place called hell, but there is a virtual hell, and the virtual hell is the hell of fear-based thinking. It's a fiery pit. I bet you Reverend Sue will never say fiery pit up here ever. Now, fear is often said to stand for false evidence appearing real. Unless you're being chased by an animal, and then it's forget everything and run. But Angelina and I came here with one purpose only from Orlando, Florida, and that is to love the hell out of you. Glory, glory. And Angelina's going to come up here and tell you a story, sing a song, and we're going to love the hell out of you a little bit more.
So, years ago, I was at a Wendy's drive-thru because I love French fries. And I know people tell me they're not really good for me, but I can't help it. I love them. I eat them sometimes. So anyway, when I got to the window, I asked the young man, "How are you?" And he answered with, "I am grateful." And said that so touched me. I'd not heard a response like that, especially from a teen. And so it just really touched me. And what it did, when I heard those words, it brought gratitude to me too. So when you say that, it brings gratitude to yourself and to those that you say it to. So I encourage you the next time someone says, "How are you?" that you answer with, "I am grateful."
How are you? Let me tell you something. Look at your faces. They are awesome. It's almost impossible to say, "I am grateful" with a frown. I am grateful. I am. You can't. It just makes you smile. It is a fabulous, simple thing. And they've proven that when you're grateful and when you're generous and when you're loving and joyous, that your brain actually emits little chemicals that make you physically feel better. We call them happy drugs. And I believe that most of the reason people seek out dangerous drugs and addictions and things like that is because there's an inner knowing inside of them that says, I'm supposed to feel really good. And the way we're supposed to feel really good is by inspiring our own brains to give us a constant supply of happy drugs. And when you do things that are not in alignment with your highest good, your brain will give you unhappy drugs. And so just do your best at all times when you can to keep the vibration up. If it takes a gratitude, if it takes prayer and meditation, if it takes some forgiveness work, that all helps
If it takes French fries.
If it takes French fries sometimes not too many. Okay, so anyway, years ago, Angelina and I were in Sedona, and she starts playing her guitar. We're in a little hotel room. She's playing this little Beethoven's Ninth Symphony song, and she goes, I feel so grateful today. I said, well, why don't you sing about it? She goes, you mean write a song? I've never written a song. I said, awesome. Everybody that ever did something fantastic had never done it before. So you're in good company. So she started singing, and as they say, when you speak a prayer, you pray once, but when you sing a prayer, you pray twice. Exactly. This is called Ode to Gratitude. Wow. 20 years of doing that song or so, 17, and we've never gotten a standing ovation for the Ode to Gratitude. So her first song, way to go, honey. All right, so we saw a movie. We've been working our way up here from Florida. We played at the Unity in Macon, and then we went to last Sunday and Monday, we did Unity of Memphis. We stopped off in Tupelo and saw the Elvis Presley house where he was born and hung out there a little while. And then we went to Little Rock, and then we went to Farmington Friday and Saturday, and now we're here. So we've been dancing around the states and just having a great time, meeting new people, seeing wonderful people. One of the things we did is we went to see a documentary about one of my childhood heroes. Has anybody seen that new documentary? So we'd like to dedicate this to that wonderful guy. Uh-oh. It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? It's a neighborly day in this beauty wood, a neighborly day for a beauty. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? Won't you be my neighbor? Good morning, boys and girls. Welcome to Angelina and Armand's neighborhood. It's a special word. You might be wondering why I'm wearing this doctor coat. Actually, I'm not a real physician. I'm a metaphysician. Actually, I never met a physician I didn't like. You might be wondering why my shoes don't match. It's because I'm a cross-dresser. Actually, that's not totally true. I like to wear things a little silly, a little crazy now and then to remind myself of the number one cause of premature aging and degenerative disease. And that would be taking yourself and life too serious. Awesome. You don't have to worry about that, but if you do it too often, you can develop hemorrhoids. Left untreated, it can turn into a regular hilarity. We recommend a really strong laxative. Yeah. And so hopefully you'll be laughing more today. So it's customary in our neighborhood to have a special word or phrase of the day. And our phrase today is affirmative prayer. Let's say that together. Affirmative prayer. It's a special word. So you may know that affirmative prayer is the foundation of unity. Charles and Myrtle originally started out working with the power and checking out how prayer worked and how to make it more effective and how to get more connected to Spirit. Now, I got to tell you something. I started going to Unity Church in 1984, and when I heard affirmative prayer, it didn't ring for me. I went, affirmative prayer? That's an oxymoron. Because you either are affirming it because you got it, or you're praying because you don't have it. That doesn't sound right, like jumbo shrimp, or patiently waiting, or constructive criticism. They don't go together, but they actually do go together. I just didn't have the wisdom, okay? Angelina and I were born Catholic. I'm 3/4 Catholic. And because I had been taught to pray like this: Dear God, out there with whom I have no connection, I know you have all the stuff. I don't have enough of the stuff. Could you please send more? Anybody ever pray that way? Guess what? That actually does work sometimes. That's called grace. It does work. It's all about that grace, No, devil. So it does work, that grace, but it is not the same effectiveness as an affirmative prayer. I learned more and more and more what that was. And so I became an affirmation junkie. I was saying affirmations, I was writing them. You can tell when people are new into Unity, they got affirmations all over their house, all over the place. A lot of times they'll be on the refrigerator, they'll say, don't ever go in here. I had it spray painted on the drywall. I had think, love, create peace on my van, driving down the street. People thought I was a nutcase. But I was doing the affirmations in a weird way. I was doing my affirmations so God would know what I desired, forgetting that God is omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent, all the omnis, already knows everything. As a matter of fact, I got this vision one night. Now, this may sound a little flippant to you, but this is the vision that came to me, so bear with me. What do you think God says when we do an affirmation? Duh. Don't you think an all-knowing person would be in a state of duh all the time, an all-knowing being? Dear God, I desire more abundance in my life. And God says, duh. Dear God, I desire to attract my ideal romantic partner to share my love, my life, and my ministry around the world. And God says, duh. Where do you think you got the desire? And I was like, oh my God. Literally, oh my God. All of our desires that are coming from a true place in us, a place of oneness and evolution and humanity, all come from the part of us that is connected to God. And all of the desires that are not good for us and humanity come from the disconnected ego part of us. Now, sometimes we need to learn from that so we can evolve and become better. But I started realizing God already knows. Even the word desire, if you take the word apart, D-E-S-I-R-E is desire, or of the Father, or desire. Okay, maybe not that. That's a lot of liberty on that one. But anyway, the other stuff I said, I think was good. Okay, so everything began to become different. I started realizing that all of my highest desires were coming from my God self. So God already knew. And all the things that were not going to be good for me and humanity, God already knew and helped those not come true. Has anybody ever prayed for something that didn't come true and you're so glad? Yeah. For many of us, that was our prayer that our first marriage would last forever. Most of us are pretty glad that didn't happen. So my prayers changed dramatically, became a prayer of affirmation. Dear God, with whom I'm totally connected, you are in me and I am in you. I know you already know all of my desires, and I thank you in advance for all of them coming true, unless for them to come true would not be good for me and humanity. I also thank and trust your guidance when not to have them come true. Like Garth Brooks says, thank God for unanswered prayers. Sometimes. I trust in you implicitly. I'm going to keep doing my affirmations. Here's what God told me when I said, God, well, then what am I doing my affirmations for? And God says, so you can get into alignment with what I already know. I was like, that's good. You should write that down, yo. Anyway, and so everything changed for me because affirmative prayer is a more effective, empowering prayer. And the minute you do an affirmative prayer with gratitude in it, you already feel better. So, the daily word today, I'm going to ask you one simple question before we go into our offertory time. How are you? And so it is.